Dear students, have a good day, a nice day. Today I shall teach you the poem A Lament, composed by P.B. Shelley. First of all, before explaining the poem, you should know about the poet P.B. Shelley. The full name of the poet is Percy B.C. Shelley. P.B. Shelley was born in 1792 and he died in 1822. Guys, it means that P.B. Shelley lived a very short span of life. He died in 1822 and was born in 1792. This is a very short span of life of 30 years. Guys, P.B. Shelley was a very revolt poet. He was pessimistic and he was confirmed atheist also. We can see these qualities in his great works, great creations. When he was in a university, he wrote a pamphlet titled Necessity of Atheism, and for it he was expelled from the university. This poem is the last poem of P.B. Shelley. This poem has been composed in 1822. The title of the poem is A Lament. A lament means to express sorrow, to weep, to grieve. It means that in this poem the poet is expressing his sorrow. The poet is expressing his grief of her. In this poem, the poet has mourned about his life. There are only two stanzas in this poem, a very short poem. In other words, we can say the best example of lyric poetry. This poem is the best example of lyric poetry. There are only two stanzas of 5 lines each. It means that in this poem there are only 10 lines. Now we will see the rhyming scheme of this poem. How can we know the rhyming scheme? You know the last word of each line ends on which rhyme becomes the rhyming scheme. As the first line of the poem is, O world, O life, O time. The last word is time. And the second line is, on whose last step I climb. Time, climb. The same sound. Third line, trembling at that where I had stood before. There is change in sound. And fourth line, when will return the glory of your prime. Prime matches with the sound of climb and time. And last line of the stanza is, no more or never more. The sound of more matches with the sound of before. Then the rhyming scheme will be A, B, A, B. Now we will explain, I shall explain this poem. O world, O life, O time, on whose last step I climb. The poet is saying that, O world, O life, O time. The poet is addressing world, life and time. The poet is addressing to the world, संसार को एड्रेस करता है, लाइफ जीवन को एड्रेस करता है, एंड टाइम और समय को एड्रेस करता है, संबोधित करता है. सेकेंड लाइन, on whose last step I climb. Whose means किसके, किसके अंतिम पावदान पर मैं चढ़ता हूं या चढ़ा हूं. किसके मीन्स वर्ड, लाइफ एंड टाइम. Guys, you know the poet had felt, the poet had felt the death approaching to him by and by, slowly, slowly. And so he is saying, O world, O life, O time, on whose last step I climb. It means that the poet has climbed on the last step of life. Means he feels his death coming to him slowly, by and by. Trembling at that where I had stood before. The poet is trembling. Where I had stood before. Before means in the past. Guys, P.B. Shelley had lived his life beautifully, in a very nice manner. But now he feels that the death is approaching to him, and he cannot do those works, those deeds, the deeds of his past time at present. And so he is saying that, trembling at that where I had stood before. The poet is reminding about his past life, when he had good health, when he had strength, when he had hope. But now he had weakness. He has weakness of oldness. He cannot perform those duties safely, those duties well at present time, which he had done in the past. So he is saying that, trembling at that where I had stood before. When will return the glory of your prime? Prime means youthness. When will return the glory of your prime? P.B. Shelley is asking to himself, asking about his own life. When will return the glory of your prime? The glory of youthness will return to him or not? He asks himself. पूछते हैं अपने आप से, क्या पुनः वो जवानी का यश उनके जीवन में लौट करके आएगा? And he replies in the 5th line, no more, oh never more. He is telling to himself that the glory of the prime of his life will never return in his life. because he feels the death approaching to him, coming to him slowly, slowly. And you know, when any person feels or thinks about his death, cannot feel happiness. And so the poet is very sad. Dear students, now I shall explain you second stanza of this poem. You know, second stanza starts with out of the day and night a joy has taken flight. Fresh spring and summer and winter hour move my faint heart with grief, but with delight no more, oh, never more. Guys, first of all, we shall see the rhyming scheme in this stanza also. The last word of first line is night and flight is the last word of second line. The sound of night compares with the sound of flight. Night, flight. And the end of the third line is hour. So this sound is changed. And the fourth line ends with delight. And fifth line ends with more. Now we will see the same sound. Might, flight, delight. These are the same sound. Night will be A, flight A, and delight A. थर्ड लाइन में लास्ट में लिखा है विंटर आवर, जिसको पोएम के अनुसार हम प्रोनाउंसिएशन पढ़ेंगे और हो गया बी। एंड लास्ट फिफ्थ लाइन में लिखा है मोर, मोर को भी कर देंगे बी। Now we will see night, flight, delight, same sound, or and more, same sound. Now the first line, second line, and this is third line. This is fourth line and this is fifth. Now, first line, second line and fourth line. These lines have same sound. And third line and fifth line had the same sound. So the rhyming scheme is A B A B. Same rhyming scheme in both stanzas. Now the explanation of this stanza. Out of the day and night a joy has taken flight. Day and night. Day and night means 24 hours. The poet is saying about 24 hours. A joy has taken flight. Means the poet does not feel any joy, does not feel happiness in 24 hours of his life. It means that he has not enjoyment in his life any moment. Fresh spring and summer and winter or move my faint heart with grief but with delight no more, oh never more. You know, these aspect of nature always give happiness. Fresh spring, in spring season the flowers bloom everywhere, the trees bear new shoots. So there is beauty everywhere in spring season, and all human beings get enjoyment, take enjoyment of spring season. But for the poet, fresh spring season does not give any enjoyment, and summer season means sunny hours of the summer season gives enjoyment. But here the poet does not give any joy. And winter season. In winter season, we take enjoyment of cold, fog, ice. But here the poet does not feel any enjoyment. It means that the heart of the poet is full of sorrow, and so he does not get any joy anywhere in nature. He does not get any happiness in the beauty of nature. Here the poet is saying that move my faint heart with grief. These things these aspects of nature, these seasons of nature move his heart with grief, fill his heart with grief, but with delight no more. Oh, he does not get any happiness, enjoyment in spring season, summer season and winter season. It means the whole year he does not get any enjoyment. Students, I am reminding the example of great Hindi poet Surdas. You know, Surdas has written in his literature, when Lord Krishna was living in Braj with Gwal, with gopis, they felt joy everywhere. They felt joy in all the aspects of nature. But when Lord Krishna left for Mathura, he left Braj, all the persons of Braj were very sad. सूरदास wrote, ब्रज के बिरही लोग दुखारे, और एक जगह लिखते हैं, गोपिकाएं कह रही हैं कि जब श्री कृष्ण जी थे तब वे लता लगती तन शीतल, अब भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंजय। तब का अर्थ है when Lord Krishna was living with them. In the presence of Lord Krishna, they felt coolness everywhere in the groups. अब भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंजय. Now, when Lord Krishna was not with them, Lord Krishna has gone from there. अब वै भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंजय. अब भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंजय. Now those groups flowers and leaves of the trees do not give them coolness, cheerfulness. They give them fires, scorching heat. In the same way, P.B. Shelley was enjoying spring season, summer season and winter season much when he had youthness, when he had strength in the body. But now when his body has become weak, the death is approaching to him slowly. He has not any hope of life. His life is full of despair, hopelessness, sadness, grief, sorrow. He feels that these aspects of nature will not fill, do not fill his life with delight. In the place of delight, these seasons will fill his life, will fill his heart with grief. This stanza shows disparateness, hopelessness of P.B. Shelley. And after composing this poem, he embraced the death. Students, I am reminding the example of great Hindi poet Surdas. You know, Surdas has written in his literature when Lord Krishna was living in Braj with Gwal, with gopis, they felt joy everywhere. They felt joy in all the aspects of nature. But when Lord Krishna left for Mathura, he left Braj. All the persons of Braj were very sad. सूरदास wrote, ब्रज के बिरही लोग दुखारे, और एक जगह लिखते हैं, गोपिकाएं कह रही हैं कि जब श्री कृष्ण जी थे तब वे लता लगती तन शीतल, अब भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंजय। तब तब का अर्थ है when Lord Krishna was living with them. In the presence of Lord Krishna, they felt coolness everywhere in the groups. अब भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंज. Now, when Lord Krishna was not with them, Lord Krishna has gone from there. अब वै भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंज. अब भई विषम ज्वाल की पुंज. Now those groups flowers and leaves of the trees do not give them coolness, cheerfulness. They give them fires, scorching heat. In the same way, P.V. Shelley was enjoying spring season, summer season and winter season much when he had youthness, when he had strength in the body. But now when his body has become weak, the death is approaching to him slowly, slowly. He has not any hope of life. His life is full of despair, hopelessness, sadness, grief, sorrow. He feels that these aspects of nature will not fill, do not fill his life with delight. In the place of delight, these seasons will fill his life, will fill his heart with grief. This stanza shows disparateness, hopelessness of P.V. Shelley. And after composing this poem, he embraced the death.